In Washington, President Donald Trump has reaffirmed one of the most ambitious defence commitments between the United States and its Pacific allies, promising that Australia will receive nuclear-powered submarines under the AUKUS alliance. Standing beside Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese at the White House, Trump declared that the United States has, in his words, the best submarines in the world, anywhere in the world, and vowed to ensure that Canberra's long-planned acquisition of nuclear-powered vessels moves ahead without delay. The announcement marks a significant moment in the evolving US-Australia partnership, as both leaders push to strengthen military and economic cooperation amid what they describe as a rapidly shifting strategic landscape in the Indo-Pacific. Trump's commitment effectively revives momentum behind the trilateral AUKUS pact, the alliance formed in 2021 between Australia, the United States and the United Kingdom, which aims to deter China's expanding naval and missile capabilities. The deal, estimated to cost Australia up to $235 billion over the next 3 decades, represents one of the largest defence investments in the nation's history. At the meeting, held in the Cabinet Room of the White House, the two leaders also signed a separate but closely linked agreement on critical minerals and rare earth elements, resources that are crucial to the manufacture of advanced technologies, from semiconductors and electric vehicles to guided weapons and radar systems. For Washington, this new accord is designed to reduce dependence on Chinese-controlled supply chains and ensure reliable access to strategic materials that underpin modern defence and energy industries. For Canberra, it opens the door to roughly $8.5 billion worth of new investment projects across Australia's mining and processing sectors. Trump, known for his transactional approach to diplomacy, presented the deal as a powerful symbol of trust and industrial alignment between the two nations. In his words, "We're building some more submarines that are currently under construction, and we're just getting started now. We've got that all set up with Anthony." His tone was confident, suggesting that both the submarine transfer and the broader resource partnership were now on firm political and financial ground. Officials later confirmed that the United States intends to proceed with supplying at least 3 Virginia-class nuclear attack submarines, a plan that had been under review since the transition from the Biden administration. Prime Minister Albanese, responding in kind, emphasised how the new Minerals Pact expands the alliance beyond defence into the very foundation of modern manufacturing. He told reporters, "Today's agreement on critical minerals and rare earths is simply taking it to the next level. Seizing those opportunities in front of us to take our relationship to the next level," he described the cooperation as both strategic and economic. A partnership meant not only to counter risk, but to create enduring prosperity. Australia, one of the world's richest sources of lithium, cobalt, manganese and nickel, already plays a vital role in global supply chains for renewable energy and defence technologies. Yet until recently, much of its output was exported to China for processing, a reality that both Washington and Canberra now view as a strategic vulnerability. The new arrangement, therefore, is about more than trade. It represents a deliberate effort to rebuild industrial independence among democratic partners. For President Trump, the announcement fits squarely within his broader second-term agenda of what aides call economic sovereignty, a policy that blends protectionist economics with strategic deterrence. By tying defence production to critical mineral supply, Trump aims to ensure that American and allied militaries are never reliant on potential adversaries for vital resources. Analysts say the policy could reshape the global minerals market, potentially driving investment into Australian and US refining industries, while isolating Chinese processing giants. The optics of the White House event reinforced that message of alliance and control. As cameras zoomed in on the two leaders holding the signed documents, Trump leaned over to show reporters the pages bearing both signatures. Behind the carefully staged smiles lay a deeper strategic calculus. Washington is committing not just to arm Australia, but to make it a long-term partner in the industrial base supporting Western defence. Inside the Pentagon, officials described the nuclear submarine program as essential to maintaining freedom of navigation across the Pacific and Indian Oceans, two theatres where China's Navy has rapidly expanded. By granting Australia access to nuclear propulsion technology, the US effectively elevates its ally into a select group of nations capable of long-endurance undersea patrols. This, defence analysts note, will dramatically increase deterrence capacity, allowing coordinated missions with US and British fleets from the South China Sea to the Indian Ocean. Trump's decision to publicly reaffirm AUKUS also carries political weight. During his first term, he was often sceptical of long-term military pacts, favouring short, results-oriented negotiations. But in his return to office, Trump has framed AUKUS as both a security guarantee and a business opportunity, one that benefits American shipbuilders, engineers and suppliers while bolstering allies that share Washington's worldview. He described it as a win-win for both economies and for the stability of what he repeatedly called a free and open Indo-Pacific. For Albanese, who faces growing domestic scrutiny over the enormous cost of the submarine program, the visit offered political validation. Appearing alongside an American president who explicitly guarantees delivery helps him assure Australian voters that the deal remains intact and that delays seen under earlier administrations are being resolved. In Canberra, government sources said the new US commitment removes a major uncertainty that had shadowed the program since 2024, when the Pentagon began a review of export timelines for Virginia-class submarines. The rare earths agreement, meanwhile, is being hailed by economists as a breakthrough for resource diversification. It includes joint ventures between US and Australian firms to extract and process materials such as neodymium, praseodymium and dysprosium, essential to high-performance magnets used in missiles, aircraft engines and renewable energy systems. By securing alternative supply lines, both governments aim to insulate their industries from potential disruptions linked to geopolitical crises or Chinese export controls. As the ceremony concluded, Albanese expressed optimism about the broader direction of US-Australia relations. He said the contact and friendship built with President Trump had been, in his words, fantastic, the friendship that we've developed. He highlighted the growing cultural and economic ties between the two nations, suggesting that this was not merely a transactional partnership, but a generational alignment based on shared values and mutual dependence. Throughout the event, the contrast between diplomatic warmth and strategic seriousness was clear. Images of submarines gliding through the sea, Ohio-class vessels shown in archival footage, underscored the real power behind the rhetoric. In military circles, those submarines represent silent deterrence, weapons that can remain undetected for months, capable of launching conventional or nuclear-armed missiles if necessary. Their transfer to Australia would transform its navy into one of the most advanced undersea forces in the region, second only to the United States itself. Analysts also point to the symbolic dimension of Trump's promise. By reaffirming a deal launched by his predecessor Joe Biden and originally conceived under the Morrison government in Australia, Trump effectively bridges political divides on both sides of the Pacific. It signals continuity in the face of great power competition, an acknowledgement that countering China's maritime assertiveness transcends partisan politics in Washington and Canberra alike. The timing of the announcement is not coincidental. In recent months, China has increased military patrols around disputed islands in the South China Sea and intensified pressure on Taiwan. At the same time, Beijing's trade restrictions and its dominance of the global rare earth market have become flashpoints for Western governments. Trump's speech, therefore, was both reassurance to allies and a warning to Beijing that the United States intends to preserve its technological and military edge. Observers noted that Trump's remarks were delivered in his trademark off-the-cuff style, less scripted than previous presidents, but no less deliberate in message. By emphasizing abundance, "We actually have a lot of submarines," he said. Trump sought to project confidence in US capability and production capacity. It was also a message to domestic audiences that American industry remains the backbone of global security partnerships. Defense contractors in Virginia and Connecticut are expected to benefit directly from the submarine deal, which could create thousands of skilled manufacturing jobs. The day's proceedings reflected a careful balancing act, assertive nationalism intertwined with cooperative diplomacy. In Washington's view, strengthening allies is now part of securing America itself. By ensuring that partners like Australia can patrol shared waters, the US reduces its own burden while extending collective reach, a concept known within defense circles as integrated deterrence. Beyond defence, the economic implications of the rare earths partnership are profound. The global demand for these materials is expected to triple by 2035, driven by the twin revolutions of green energy and digital technology. Australia's vast reserves of lithium and rare earths could position it as a central supplier to Western markets, while the US provides capital, processing technology, and secure shipping routes. Together, the two countries aim to build a self-sufficient supply chain that can resist market manipulation and geopolitical shocks. Trump's aides said the agreement would be fast-tracked through executive channels, avoiding prolonged congressional debate. That move drew both praise and criticism, praise for decisiveness, concern for bypassing oversight. But administration officials insist the urgency is justified, pointing to what they call critical vulnerabilities exposed during recent global supply shortages. By acting now, they argue, the US can preempt future crises that might cripple defense production or green energy expansion. The White House described the meeting as cordial, productive, and forward-looking. A joint statement released afterward reaffirmed commitments to democratic values, regional stability, and economic innovation. It also hinted at future collaboration in quantum computing, artificial intelligence, and advanced manufacturing, sectors that rely heavily on rare earth components. In that sense, today's signing ceremony may be remembered not only as a defense milestone, but as the start of a broader industrial renaissance across allied nations. In closing, the image of Trump and Albanese side by side, papers signed, hands clasped, captured both the political theatre and strategic gravity of the day. For Trump, it was another demonstration of his America First, Allies Strong approach. For Albanese, it was reassurance that Australia's defence future remains anchored to US technology and support. As global competition intensifies and the Indo-Pacific becomes the world's most contested maritime zone, this partnership signals a unified front, a blend of deterrence, economics, and friendship designed to define the next generation of Western power.